Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I sheet mulched that the other day. You can kind of see what it was before if you go back and check out the last video. But now I'm kind of working on some of this other stuff. All of the white flowers, those are chives. They're kind of a little bit of everywhere. I also got after the weedy part of that mess. And this I used to tackle. But up around the glads, I've mulched in there. And here I've been putting in old shirts and kitchen towels. 100% cotton, of course, as weed barriers. This area is one of my next to tackle projects. I'm going to get after it with the grass shears and then hopefully sheet mulch and plant a bunch of strawberries to hopefully tame down the weeds. This area, this asparagus bed, I know it's going to take a couple years for them to do anything. When I planted them, I really pictured them getting bigger quicker, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully next year it will be sort of a grassy wall to hide the shed on the other side. And then this cucumber plant, it's obviously seen better days. I don't see any bugs. I'm not sure what caused the damage. Based on the kind of patterns, I could totally see maybe it got peed on. I don't know. We are washing produce before we use it. Now, this kale is one of those areas that I have been working on a little bit here and there as I walk past. But figured I would give you a before shot and then come pull up potatoes. Because that just makes all the sense in the world, right? I don't know. I was trying to do all this in a rush. I've been working on various areas, but it's not really terribly visual stuff. The mound that you saw at the beginning is kind of just behind here. You can kind of see it in the corner on the left. And basically, I just took the lilies and grass all the way down to the ground, sheet mulched, and in between the 2 bags of soil that I put there, I planted 4 or 5 potatoes with the hope that I might get some new potatoes right around first frost. And then I am pulling these up. They started looking kind of bad, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And then the ones on the other end that I actually planted this year are looking bad now too. So it's okay, I really need to get them up and out of the ground before anything starts eating them. All in all, we got enough for probably 2 to 3 batches of corn chowder, which is awesome. My history with actually growing potatoes has been weird. The first year I planted them, I never even dug them up. I just planted them, got lots of compliments on my pretty flowers, and never dug them up. And they didn't come back the next year, so I don't know what was up with that. Although, where I had planted them was actually sort of to the right and down from where my leg is, so it was very grassy and weedy area that just went back to grass. So yeah, that's my history with potatoes. A year or 2 ago, I planted a bunch and got some, but I don't know. I would probably like to up my potato production next year. I seem to do pretty well with them. I'm not the greatest at watering, and I don't really fertilize a whole lot. The bags of stuff I get is half compost, half cow manure, and I do worm castings, and not really a whole lot else. Watering is mostly Mother Nature. Now, last year I had a nice sort of hedge of sweet potatoes, and that looked really good. This year they're just kind of all over the place. So I'm not sure how you go about doing that differently. I like the look of the sweet potato vines when they're like sort of close knit in a hedge like they were last year. Especially this is like at the front of my house, so I need it to kind of look nice. But at the same time, sweet potatoes are high oxalate, and I have found out that I sometimes have issues with too many oxalates, so do I really want to grow them again? And I gotta say, I don't know. Now, potatoes are high lectin, but I've got ways around that because I can just pressure cook them, and that seems to take care of it. And so I can actually get quite a bit of use out of white potatoes. And I always get compliments on the flowers when they're blooming. So I'm semi-inclined to go ahead and plant this entire area in front of the sedum and mums in regular white potatoes. Well, I guess it would be regular yellow potatoes, because I planted yellow potatoes, so I guess they would come out yellow potatoes. Even though they look like the size of white potatoes, but you know what I mean. Oh my. Anyway. I would like to try my hand at onions again. And I collected the like seed head things off of the garlic. And I'm actually going to try and stick them in somewhere this fall and see what they do. Just because I've never heard of anybody growing onions from something like that. Or not onions, garlic. I do have some space in the back bed with that kale sort of towards the front. And it definitely needs to be in over winter. So I might just go ahead and try and see what that does. I might try and put some more kale in. I don't think Brussels sprouts have time to do much of anything before it gets too cold for them. I don't know. I've thought about doing some beans. They typically have a really short time frame, so if I can keep them from frosting, that might be a thing. There's the cucumber I picked, and as you can see, the asparagus is getting taller. Still not tall enough to hide the chain link fence full of weeds. But you know, I figured the asparagus was going to be a 2 to 3 year project, so I'm just hoping that it survives the winter. And I always kind of pictured asparagus being a springtime thing and just figured it kind of stopped. Like tulips, like, you know, they bloom, they collect energy for the next year, die off, and then I just mow over them. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I had some naked ladies inside and realized it puts off these little ball things underneath the flowers. And I just decided to dig into one of them, and it actually had seeds in there. They weren't mature seeds, so I decided to leave the ones that were up outside until I absolutely had to take them down. And then see if I could expand my naked lady patch with seeds instead of bulbs splitting. Which the bulbs do split, but you know. And you don't get to see me picking tomatoes. They have been very slow. We have been picking them when they start blushing and then leaving them to ripen in the house. Mainly to keep them from getting peed on. And then the sedum is obviously blooming. The black-eyed Susans are on their way out. The impatiens are looking good, actually. I did plant the last of those over on the other side under the glads. And that seems to be going well. And then a while back, you guys saw me clean these up, and they're looking good again. Have a great week. See you Tuesday.